70 weeks, Daniel was told, are determined upon thy people, that's the Jews, and upon thy holy city. 70 times 7, 490 days, 490 years on the Jews and on Jerusalem, to make an end of sins and to make reconciliation for iniquity, etc., etc. Now, if we look into the sanctuary, we have a look at the layout of the sanctuary, and I would like to challenge you into the possibility that there might be a timeline in the sanctuary. What do I mean, a timeline in the sanctuary? Well, do you remember that Jesus, the veil pointed to something? Hebrews 10, verse 19 and 20 told us that the veil, the one there with the 4 pillars, is Jesus' what? Do you remember? Was his flesh? Well, that can quite easily mean that behind the veil means before Jesus became flesh. In other words, before the birth of Christ. After the veil would mean after the birth of Christ, or Anno Domini, right? Now, let's just consider this for a moment. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah, meaning the anointed one or the baptized one, the prince shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. That's a period of 62 weeks. So we have the sanctuary layout. While we have the sanctuary layout, we then have the possibility, and we'll have to check whether this could be the case, of a timeline in the sanctuary. I'm saying that it could start behind the veil, and you could see, because that would be before Jesus becomes flesh, and in front of the veil would be after Jesus becomes flesh. That's just logic, but we need to test this and make sure that this is actually valid. The question is, when does the 2,300 day, 2,300 year prophecy start? When does the 70-week prophecy start? Well, it's quite easy. You need to find, if you want to run a marathon like the Comrades Marathon, you need to wait for the starting gun. And when you have that starting gun, then the stopwatches go, and that's when we know the marathon has started. So we can say, for example, can you tell me, Lord, I'm looking for the starting gun of the 70-week prophecy. Please tell me, when is it? And this is very clearly laid out in Daniel 9, verse 25, where it says, know therefore that understand from the going forth of the commandment to restore and build Jerusalem unto the Messiah will be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. Now, 7 weeks and 62 weeks, if you add them together, comes to 69 weeks. Now, if you work out the days, 69 times 7 comes to a total of 483 days, meaning 483 years. Now, you go into any encyclopedia. I use a free one so that you can go and do the same research I've done. And you'll see that in 457 before Christ, there was a decree of Artaxerxes I that went out to re-establish the city government of Jerusalem. Now, this is incredible because we are looking for the okay? And all you do is you check through history at the various places and see when did the... And here we have a starting gun. Bang! It's on. And all we know is that the 70 weeks might therefore start in 457 BC, right? So let's go back to the graphic and put this now into context. I said out of my own logic that if the veil is Jesus' flesh, then before Christ would be behind the veil, after Christ would be in front of the veil. So 457 BC would fit in actually pretty neatly. While Jesus was still in heaven with the Father, the decree went out to rebuild Jerusalem. Now that's interesting. You calculate from there, 483 years, you get to a date of 27 AD. When it's clearly told to us in the text we've just read, there will be 483 years unto the Messiah. Now remember that the word Messiah means anointed one. And if you go into the history books, the date that Jesus was baptized, well, not the history books, just check the Bible. It says in the 15th year of the reign of Tiberius. And then you go to the history books and you look at Tiberius and his reign, you'll see that the 15th year of the reign of Tiberius was 27 AD. So this is starting to fit in quite neatly. So the decree of Artaxerxes goes out while Jesus is in the most holy in heaven, right? Or depicted in the most holy in our diagram, but he's in heaven. Then 483 years later, Jesus is baptized in 27 AD. But that's not the end of the 70-week prophecy. That's only 69 of the 70 weeks. What about the last week? Well, read with me what it says in Daniel 9, verse 26 and 27. After that 62 weeks, in other words, there's something else that's going to happen. So after the 62 weeks, the Messiah will be cut off, but not for himself. Oh, and then he shall confirm a covenant with many for 1 week. So there's that 70th week. But in the middle of the week, he shall bring an end to sacrifice and offering. This is incredible. I want you to focus on this to understand quite how important this is. Jesus is moving from the most holy out to be crucified. We've seen that. He's at the baptismal font. He's at the laver of washing.